Hi, so in this video we'll be looking at question 61 of the M&Ms, which is part of the probability and statistics section. And over here we'll be looking at the ideas of probability. And the first key idea we need to understand about probability is always calculated between 0 and 1. 0 being impossible and 1 being certain. Okay, so if you think about it, 0 is like, well, it is impossible for it to rain today. Okay, or it is impossible for a tornado to rock up today. And 1 being very certain, well, we are very certain that today is going to be a beautiful day. Okay, so it's like looking at the ideas of there's a 0% chance or even a 100% chance. So probability is always done within numbers, percentages, or fractions. But don't get confused between the three, because they are all still the same thing. Okay, so we always do it between 0 and 1. Okay, so you should always remember that it could also be 0% all the way up to 100% as well. But obviously if you convert that to decimals, it would be 0 and 1. And in between we'll have 50%. Now 50% means there's an equal likely chance, or it's an even chance. Okay, so if you think of the idea of heads and tails, okay, you can either flip a head or you can either flip a tail, which means there's a 50-50 chance of either one coming up. So that is what we use to solve probability. Now if you get some values that are less than 0, that means it is incorrect, or if you get values above 1, that is also incorrect. So you can't get negative 0.2, and you can't get 1.5 or 2.2 as probabilities, because they will be incorrect. It has to be between 0 and 1. So again, 0, 0.1, 0.8, 0.95, they're all perfectly fine for probabilities. So in probability, we use this idea or this formula, okay, where a probability of an event is equal to the number of favorable outcomes over the number of possible outcomes. And this is what we use to solve the ideas of probability, or what is the probability of this happening. So if you think about it, what is the probability, if I flip the coin once, that a head will pop up? We all know the answer, right? Well, it's 50%, or 1/2, or 0.5. So if we use this formula to solve it, what we do is we look at the number of possible outcomes. Well, obviously, we can get two outcomes, right? You can either get a head or a tail. So there's two outcomes. So that goes down in the denominator. 1, 2. And the number of favorable outcomes, or what we want, is we want a head, one head. So that goes on top. And that is how we solve it. We know that the chance is 1/2, and we solved it using this formula. And you'll be using this formula a lot, obviously, for more complex problems in probability. So now let's look at a question similar to question 61 of the M&Ms. Okay, so a paddock contains 6 chickens and 4 sheep. When selecting one animal at random, what is the probability it will be a sheep? So again, we use the ideas of probability over there. So we're looking at the probability of it being a sheep when selected at random. So what is the total number of outcomes? So the total number of outcomes in this situation will be the number of animals in that paddock. We've got 6 chicken, and we've got 4 sheep. So therefore the total number of animals would be 10. And we're looking at finding the probability of it being a sheep. So now we look at it, well, how many sheep are there in the paddock? Well, there are 4 sheep in the paddock. So we put 4 on top. And that is your answer. Now if you want to convert that to a decimal, you can. So the decimal version of that would be 0.4. And that satisfies the condition of being between 0 and 1. And we have solved what is the probability of it being a sheep when selected at random.